Imagine it is October 25th, 1944. You are a sailor aboard a lightly armed, unarmored American destroyer escorter ship. So thin the crew jokes that enemy fire would just pass right through it. You're sitting off the coast of the Philippines, drinking your morning coffee. Your job is simple: hunt submarines and protect the troops on the beach. But as the morning mist begins to clear, you look to the horizon and your blood runs cold. Emerging from the fog isn't a submarine. It is the Japanese center force. 4 battleships, 6 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, and 11 destroyers. And leading them is the Yamato, the largest, most heavily armed battleship in human history. You have no armor. You have no big guns. The main American fleet is 300 miles away. You are completely, utterly trapped. This is the story of Taffy 3. And it is the story of the most unbelievable, suicidal, and heroic naval charge in American history. To understand how a handful of tin can destroyers ended up facing the deadliest fleet on Earth, we have to look at a massive blunder. Admiral William Bull Halsey was in charge of the mighty American Third Fleet. During the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the Japanese used a decoy fleet to lure Halsey away. And it worked perfectly. Halsey took his massive battleships and carriers and chased the decoy north. He left behind a tiny task force with the call sign Taffy 3 to guard the landing beaches. Taffy 3 consisted of 6 slow escort carriers, basically converted merchant ships, 3 destroyers and 4 tiny destroyer escorts. They were armed with anti-aircraft guns and torpedoes. They weren't meant to fight other ships. But Japanese Admiral Kurita had slipped his massive center force through the San Bernardino Strait, and now he was bearing down on Taffy 3. When the Japanese opened fire, the shells from the Yamato were the size of cars. When they hit the water, they created geysers 200 feet high. Running away was impossible. The Japanese ships were faster. So Commander Ernest Evans of the destroyer USS Johnston made a decision. Without waiting for orders, Evans ordered his tiny ship to turn around. He ordered his crew to lay down a smoke screen, and then he charged directly at the entire Japanese fleet. It was a suicide run. The Johnston zigzagged through a hail of massive artillery shells, closing the distance so it could fire its torpedoes. Evans targeted the heavy cruiser Kumano, unleashing his torpedoes and blowing off the Japanese ship's bow. But the Johnston couldn't dodge forever. It took direct hits from battleship shells, destroying its engines and wiping out its gun mounts. Commander Evans lost 2 fingers to shrapnel, but he refused to leave the bridge. Seeing the Johnston's insane bravery, the rest of Taffy 3 joined the fight. The USS Hull and the USS Holman charged in. Then came the USS Samuel B. Roberts, a ship so small it was barely considered a warship. Yet, it fought so aggressively, getting so close to Japanese cruisers that the enemy couldn't lower their massive guns enough to hit it. The Roberts fired its small 5-inch guns so fast that the barrels literally melted. It earned the nickname the destroyer escort that fought like a battleship. Meanwhile, the pilots on the escort carriers scrambled their planes. They were armed with bombs meant for land targets, not ships. When they ran out of bombs, they didn't land. The pilots conducted dry runs, diving at the Japanese ships with empty weapons, flying straight into anti-aircraft fire just to distract the enemy gunners and buy the ships more time. For over 2 hours, this brutal, chaotic brawl continued. Taffy 3 was being ripped apart. The Hull, the Roberts, and one of the escort carriers, the Gambia Bay, were sinking. The Johnston, completely dead in the water, was finally surrounded. As the ship sank, a Japanese destroyer sailed past. But the Japanese didn't shoot the survivors in the water. Instead, the Japanese captain stood on his deck and saluted the sinking Johnston, honoring the unbelievable courage of Commander Evans and his men. But then, something miraculous happened. Japanese Admiral Kurita was rattled. The ferocity of the American attack, the relentless aircraft dives, and the insane charge of the destroyers confused him. He couldn't believe a small task force would fight this hard. He was convinced he had accidentally stumbled into Admiral Halsey's main fleet. Fearing his fleet would be wiped out, Kurita gave the order to retreat. the mighty Japanese center force turned around and sailed away. Against all mathematical odds, the tin cans of Taffy 3 had saved the invasion force. They suffered heavy losses. Over 1,000 Americans died that day, but their sacrifice broke the back of the Japanese Navy. Commander Ernest Evans did not survive the sinking of the Johnston. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. The Battle off Samar remains a testament to the fact that wars aren't just won by the biggest guns or the thickest armor. Sometimes they are won by absolute, unbreakable human resolve. If you love untold stories of military history and incredible acts of bravery, hit that subscribe button and like this video. Let me know in the comments which historical battle you want me to cover next. Until next time, stay curious.